What the f*** are you? Wow!
When the wild grows silent, fear begins to whisper. These are the moments campers wish they'd never recorded.
Oh!
7 real encounters that blur nature and nightmare.
Cat from you. What was that?
Another form of camping isn't under the open sky. It's deep inside forgotten walls. In this next video, 2 explorers, CJ Faison and Sunny Deeds, decide to take their curiosity to an abandoned farm building rumored to be haunted. CJ, known for his popular channel CJ Faison, has built a reputation for investigating haunted properties across America, places that most people wouldn't dare to step inside after dark. But on this night, even he and Sunny were about to experience something that pushed their limits.
Okay. We're gonna go in there, and we're gonna go up. What?
I just saw a shadow.
Oh!
They entered the building with only a flashlight, a camera, and a few haunted objects they'd collected from previous investigations. The place was silent except for the creak of decaying wood under their boots. Dust floated in the air, caught in the thin beam of light. As they began explaining what they planned to do, Sunny suddenly froze. He turned toward the shadows behind them, sensing something move. Before CJ could react, a loud crash echoed from inside the dark hall. Metal clattered. Something had fallen or been thrown. The 2 men jumped, hearts pounding, scanning the empty room. They hadn't even started filming properly, yet the building was already alive with sound. The atmosphere grew heavier by the minute.
Cat from you. What was that?
I heard it, but I can't see in that room. Dude, look at the vacuum cleaner.
What about it?
It's leaned over. It was sitting up in the corner.
I'm pretty sure all of that happened with my vacuum escapades when I was like wheeling shit around and stuff.
They pushed deeper into the house, finding strange things. A drawer that had moved on its own since their last visit. A ball that seemed to roll to a different spot each time they looked away. And a VHS tape lying in the middle of the floor that hadn't been there before.
In the center drawer?
I never, to be honest with you, I never paid no attention, but I don't think it was, I thought it was flat against the wall. It's moved away.
It is? Oh yeah, it is. It's a VHS tape. That's weird.
Has anybody been back here since the last time we were here?
No, we were here literally last week.
Then, out of nowhere, a loud thud, followed by another. Both men froze. "It's upstairs," Sunny said quietly, his voice trembling. The sounds grew louder. Footsteps, maybe even voices. They ran toward the stairwell only to find it empty. But something unseen was moving above them. They decided to test their luck and stay longer, performing a small ritual, one they instantly regretted. Moments later, glass shattered right beside them. Cold air swept across the room.
Wow!
What'd you break?
Dude, what the
What was that?
That was under my ass.
What? No way. No way. There's no way. Son, there's no way. There's no way.
The glass is broke, dude.
And when they finally left, both men agreed. It wasn't just the house that was haunted. It was the things they'd brought with them, and maybe what followed them out. Richard Perhaus isn't your typical YouTuber. He doesn't chase trends or attention. He simply documents life, uploading small moments as a kind of digital diary. But in 2021, one of those quiet uploads turned into something far darker. During a winter camping trip near Brindley Village in Cannock Chase, an area steeped in eerie legends, Richard decided to take a walk through the woods. The air was still, the forest blanketed in snow. His camera followed him as he wandered deeper into the trees, filming what he thought was just another calm winter scene. But then, the dolls appeared. Dozens of them, some headless, others cracked and weathered, hanging from the trees like forgotten offerings. Their pale faces swayed in the cold wind, their glass eyes catching the light, reflecting back a strange blue glow. It looked more like the set of a horror film than a forest in England. Richard didn't say much. He just filmed quietly, moving through the frozen landscape, unaware of what else his camera had captured. Only later, when viewers watched the footage, did they notice it. Something faint moving in the background. A white figure, thin, crooked, walking strangely. Not human, not animal. It appeared for only a few seconds, slipping between the trees before vanishing into the mist. Richard never mentioned it. Not in the video, not in the comments. Maybe he never saw it at all. Viewers debated endlessly. Was it a trick of the light, a person, or something else that shouldn't exist? In the silence of the Cannock Chase woods, among those hanging dolls, the snow hides more than footprints. It hides secrets, and perhaps something still waiting to be found. Let's move on to another bizarre and deeply unsettling experience. Valerie's solo hitchhiking trip across Kazakhstan began like any other of her adventures. Spontaneous, cheerful, and full of wonder. She runs the YouTube channel Adventure Travel and Raw Moments, where she captures her journeys with sincerity and optimism. Her videos are about connection, freedom, and the beauty of the unknown. But on this trip, the unknown revealed something darker. Her plan was simple: hitchhike from Turkestan to Aristanbab, camp in her tent, and wake up to the sunrise over the ancient mosque. She filmed the roads, the changing landscapes, the smiles of kind strangers who offered her rides. She laughed, chatted, and spoke about how much she loved the contrast of the region, the vast dirt roads against the grand buildings of Turkestan. Everything seemed fine, safe. As dusk fell, Valerie found a quiet spot on the outskirts of a rural village, a field overlooking the mausoleum she wanted to visit in the morning. She set up her small tent, cooked dinner, and filmed a few cheerful moments before night settled in. The silhouettes of horses drifted through the tall grass, their soft movements blending with the cool wind. It felt peaceful, alone, but not lonely.
Okay, I found a good spot here on the field. I have to be quick now though, because the sun is setting and I don't want to use my light, because then the mosquitoes will bite me. There are already some horses here next to me, but you can't see them, I guess. That's so cool. I love this place already. And I'm gonna see the mosque in the morning.
And then, headlights appeared in the distance. A car pulled up near her tent. Valerie assumed it was the landowners checking on their horses. She stepped outside and greeted them warmly, a man and his wife. Using translation apps, they spoke briefly. The couple seemed friendly, curious about the traveler camping in their field. They smiled, waved, and eventually drove away. Valerie returned to her tent, relieved and grateful for their kindness.
Okay, so obviously these people are the owner of the field and the horses.
So they came to check on them and they saw my tent, and I was already watching the horses. So I went outside to speak with them and ask them if it's okay that I sleep here on their field.
But sometime around 3 a.m., she woke again. This time to a noise right outside her tent. Footsteps, a voice, the sound of a car door closing. The man had returned, alone. Half asleep and confused, Valerie unzipped her tent and froze. The same man was standing just outside, whispering something she didn't understand, making gestures that instantly sent chills through her body. His tone was soft, almost playful, but wrong. Deeply wrong. Panic set in. She tried to push him away. The camera captures her trembling voice as she recounts the moment.
I can't believe I just called this man friendly. I'm so disappointed. It's 3 a.m. I heard a noise, someone was saying something. I opened the door of my tent, and then he was there again, like very close. And he was like making a kissing gesture. And I said, what? I was still like, I didn't understand what was going on because I just woke up, and he really tried to go into my tent. I had to stop him and push him away, and he said, what are you doing? No. Like clearly said, no. And he wouldn't understand, like he wouldn't want to understand. I was like in such a shock because I didn't get why, like what was happening.
How she physically blocked him, how her hands shook as she tried to make him leave. The man wouldn't listen, only insisting on using his phone, pretending to translate. She yelled again, louder, firmer. Finally, after what felt like forever, he left.
And I kept saying no, and he wanted to still like come inside. Eventually he said, yeah, phone to speak, like Google Translate. And I said, no, leave me alone, no, go. And I think I said this for 2 minutes straight until he finally left. But man, I've never had that before. And yeah, now he went back into his car. I don't know, will he return or not? So it's a bit stupid situation right now. And I mean,
Valerie sat there, silent, staring into the dark. Her heart was racing. She grabbed her cutlery, placing it beside her for protection, unsure if he would return. It's 3 a.m. She didn't sleep after that. Every rustle, every shift of the wind sounded like footsteps. Every second dragged by until the first light of dawn crept across the field.
So sad, because they were friendly and stuff, but this really destroyed it, unfortunately. And it was the first time I didn't really feel 100% safe. I mean, I was sure that one day I will face these kind of situations, but yeah, it just didn't happen to me yet. Yeah, now I placed my cutlery next to me, just in case. I don't think he will come back, but you never know. I think I would just catch some more hours of sleep and then make a move somewhere. Yeah, not the best feeling for sure.
The world looked peaceful again, as if nothing had ever happened. Days later, while editing the footage, Valerie reflected on the experience. She admitted that she'd been too open, too trusting, smiling, chatting freely, even sharing her social media with the couple earlier that evening. It had seemed harmless at the time, but now she realized how small details could be misread, and how quickly a friendly encounter could turn dangerous.
By the time I edited this video, a few days had passed since this incident had happened, and I had time to think about how the situation came about. Yes, I was in short clothes when I talked to the farmer and his wife because I was sleeping before. Yes, I shared my social media accounts with them. Yes, I answered their questions honestly, that I was traveling alone and that I'm not married. And yes, I was super friendly as always. I smiled a lot. But they were a married couple and seemed warm-hearted, even though they should have noticed that it's not the best behavior to interrupt my sleep at 1:30 in the morning for such a long time. And still, I would have never expected him to return without his wife.
She wrote down new rules for herself, boundaries, safety plans, fewer smiles when instincts say otherwise, and a reminder, courage and caution can exist together. It wasn't the story Valerie wanted to tell, but it became one she had to share, because even the most beautiful journeys can carry shadows, and sometimes the scariest thing you can encounter in the wild isn't the wilderness itself. Venturing into the woods alone can be terrifying, but what happens when you encounter something you wish you'd never seen? This video comes from Creepy Outdoors, a channel known for exploring haunted forests, eerie trails, and mysterious places far beyond where most people dare to go. On October 26, 2022, the creator decided to take on another chilling adventure, deep within one of America's most haunted forests, hidden somewhere in Washington state. No crew, no backup, just him, his flashlight, his camera, and a single tent pitched in the middle of nowhere. The forest was silent that night, a pitch-black maze of dead trees stretching endlessly in every direction. His flashlight beam barely cut through the darkness, its faint circle of light swaying over the moss and twisted branches. He had camped here before, many times in fact. He knew these woods, or at least he thought he did. Normally, he would hear the distant howls of coyotes or the calls of night creatures. But tonight, the woods were too still, too quiet.
I think I'm gonna name this one Forest. Forest indeed. Dead quiet here as well. No life.
As the hours passed, that stillness turned into something else. An eerie awareness, a gut-deep feeling that he wasn't alone. He stopped, scanning the tree line, his breath echoing softly through the microphone. Nothing, just the wind brushing through the leaves. He turned again, slower this time, his light trembling in his hand. Still no one. And then it happened. From somewhere in the darkness, a voice broke the silence, high-pitched, distant, and unmistakably human. "I see you."
Oh, hi. What the? I need to get out of here. Oh boy. Ooh. Okay. That was f***ing creepy. I need to get out of here.
The words were faint, but clear enough to freeze him in place. It sounded like a child, a small, playful voice drifting through the trees, taunting, echoing, like something not quite real. He whispered into the camera, his tone shaking. Maybe it was another camper, maybe someone messing around in the dark, but deep down he knew that didn't make sense. He had hiked for miles. There were no lights, no tents, no sounds of life anywhere near him.
It could have been campers, but this area is extremely secluded. I need to get back to camp.
He stayed still for a long moment, waiting for another sound, another word, but the forest returned to silence. Slowly, he turned back and made his way to camp, the light of his fire barely holding back the dark. That night, he didn't hear the voice again, but the way he tells it, he didn't need to.
Well, if that is not the definition of creepy, then I don't know what it means. I was literally just talking about Witchbilly Project. And then the creepiest, and I mean the creepiest voice of what I would imagine a witch to sound like just says, "I see you." I'm either extremely unlucky or very fortunate to have recorded this.
Because once you hear something like that in the middle of the woods, you never forget it. Just like the previous encounter, some experiences leave campers shaken and truly traumatized. This next video comes from Swamp Wally, a channel run by Sky, an outdoorsman known for his bushcraft adventures, gear reviews, and survival projects. He's the kind of person who finds peace in the wilderness, building shelters, crafting tools, and respecting the quiet balance of nature. But this night, nature didn't seem peaceful at all. It began like any other evening in the woods. Sky had finished building his small woodland shelter, gathered some dry firewood, and started preparing dinner. The sound of crackling flames filled the silence of the forest, a comforting rhythm that made the loneliness of the wild somehow bearable. But then, the peace shattered. From somewhere deep in the dark trees came a sound. Low, strange, not quite animal, not quite human. He paused, listening. Maybe it was just the wind, he thought. He brushed it off and kept cooking. But the sound came again, louder this time, closer. He turned toward the woods, calling out into the darkness. No answer, just the faint echo of something moving between the trees. The forest seemed alive with whispers and shifting shadows.
Say sausages, they're supposed to be hot dogs, but they look like sausages, huh? You hear that noise? You guys hear that? That was...
And then, another noise, closer than before. A voice, distorted and wrong, echoing back and forth like something mocking him.
So, I've been hearing that noise a lot more. It's been basically surrounding the camp. I heard it over there. I've heard it up that way. Yeah, it's not often. It's like every 20 minutes or so, maybe half an hour. But it is weird.
Sky's breathing grew heavy as he scanned the woods, trying to catch a glimpse of whatever was out there. The camera shook in his hands. Then, something lunged. The screen jolted violently as he stumbled back, shouting in fear. For a brief second, a dark blur crossed the frame, too fast to identify.
What the hell is that? Is that a man? Where'd he go? This is when I want the dog.
When the camera steadied, Sky was clutching his axe. His voice trembled as he lifted it toward the lens. On the blade, a strange blue substance. Not blood, something else. It's like a person, but maybe it's not, he said quietly.
I just feel it. What the f*** are you? Ah, jeez. I don't know what just happened there. Yeah, that thing, it just came around. I don't know, I don't even know how much of that was on camera, but it just came at me, and yeah, I hit it with the axe, and it's like, I don't know, it's so weird, like it's not got blood there, like, or it's got blue, like, I don't know, it's so weird.
He sat by the fire after that, eyes wide, trying to process what had just happened. Minutes passed, the forest was silent again. Finally, almost numbly, he went back to grilling his food, the firelight flickering across his pale face. Whether it was fake or real, one thing was certain: something out there had found him. And that night in Swamp Valley, the wilderness didn't feel like nature anymore. It felt alive and watching. Sergei's ordeal in the Siberian wilderness is a reminder that sometimes it's not the cold or hunger that breaks you, it's isolation itself. This chilling event took place in 2014, deep in the western Sayan mountains of Siberia. Sergei was an experienced hunter, hardened by years of surviving in some of the harshest conditions on Earth. A professional in every sense, solitude never frightened him, until that trip. The footage of his encounter was shared years later, in 2019, on the YouTube channel Bad Pioneer. The channel belongs not to Sergei himself, but to a close friend, another hunter who often documented wilderness expeditions. What Sergei captured on that trip would soon be remembered as one of the most disturbing pieces of backcountry footage ever seen. He had gone into the forest in search of the Manchurian wapiti, a large, elusive deer species that demands patience and stealth. Sergei set up camp, studied the tracks, and prepared his decoys. Everything was going according to plan. Until night fell. The forest, once calm and familiar, began to change. At first, it was only a sound, sharp, metallic, echoing faintly through the trees. It continued in rhythmic patterns for nearly half an hour, then shifted into something far stranger, something that sounded almost alive. Uneasy, Sergei abandoned his hunting post and headed back to camp, but the noises followed him. The crunch of branches, the deliberate rhythm of movement, as though something or someone was circling just out of sight. He built a fire for comfort, but the flames only made him feel more exposed. Shadows flickered across the tree line. The forest seemed to breathe around him. Then came the breaking point, a scream so unnatural it froze his blood. Sergei fired into the dark again and again, but nothing answered. When dawn finally came, silence returned.
One. Тихо, старик. Сейчас я покажу, блядь, гады. Тоже, блядь. Куда стрелять-то, хуй его знает, туда или туда, блядь. Блядь, близко совсем.
Later, he discovered strange evidence nearby, trees cut for resin, traces of an old camp, signs that someone, or something, had been there long before him. Was it another hunter, or something else entirely, something not meant to be found? No one knows for sure, but in the vast, endless wilderness of Siberia, Sergei learned that sometimes being alone doesn't mean you're truly alone. Another form of camping, one that many consider safer, is car camping. Usually done in a van, truck, or larger vehicle, it gives a sense of protection from the wilderness. But for one man named Noah, that illusion of safety shattered one cold night in Sun River, Oregon. He had driven down a deserted road cutting through the woods, far from anyone or anything. It seemed perfect, quiet, isolated, the kind of place where the only sound would be the wind and the occasional rustle of trees. Noah parked his truck, set up the back for sleeping, and drifted into a peaceful sleep. But sometime after midnight, that peace broke.
So I was originally not gonna make this video just because I don't really have my setup or anything yet. But a few days ago I was camping in Sun River, and what I thought would be a good location to pull over to the side of the road in like this forest area and sleep which I thought no one was really around, turned into someone trying to creep on me, creep in my truck while I was sleeping. So
He woke to the sound of footsteps outside, slow, deliberate, circling his truck. He grabbed his camera and whispered that someone was walking around, and had been for nearly 20 minutes. The voice in the recording trembles, caught between disbelief and terror. Then came the knocking. Soft at first, then louder, the sound of fingers brushing across the glass. Noah could see the faint outline of a figure peering through the canopy window. He froze, barely breathing. Whoever was outside didn't seem to know he was in there, or maybe they did. Maybe that was the point.
And I got some GoPro footage of it. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of hear it in the background. But yeah, didn't really record after I got out and stuff.
I'm currently sleeping in the back of my truck right now. I don't even know what time it is. He's literally touching my truck. How am I supposed to get away? He's literally knocking. He's literally knocking on my truck. The canopy, the back door's locked. I can never been scared before ever. I don't think he knows that there's anyone in here.
When daylight finally came, Noah stepped out to inspect what had happened. The back windshield was covered in smeared handprints, the dirt wiped away as if someone had been trying to see inside. Scratches ran down the sides of his truck, traces of fingers dragging across the metal.
I'm back home. This is the day after. He was trying to peek in my truck quite a bit with all these marks. I didn't even notice until I got home. Handprints there, a lot of scratches, stuff like that. Dragging his finger on my side of my truck. Well, looks like to be trying to get inside my truck. That's really all I could tell from when he was walking around. That's new. Don't know how that got there. More handprints trying to get in my truck. At least the back canopy was locked, but yeah, that was the result. So that was probably the scariest camping experience I've probably ever had in my entire life.
He wasn't alone that night, but the only thing between him and the unknown was a locked door.